Greetings YouTube, and if you're not well aware, this video is going to hopefully bring you some information to light that has been a plan that I've been approached about talking about for, I don't know, maybe 2 days. Basically, there is a conservative effort by many of the top alliances to have everyone just log off the game for a day on July 6th. Now, this is surprising some people, because whenever you're talking about a boycott, you kind of need to know why people are boycotting. And some people thought the whole reason why the community was boycotting was to get Defender diversity back in Alliance Wars. So if that was your reason for thinking, then you're going to look at the boycott and say, wait a minute, we got diversity back. What's the point of the boycott? So I wanted to address a couple of things that I have heard from so many people. And I know this might come as a surprise to the people out there who think that I only have a YouTube channel to be negative, but about 95% of the messages that I get in the Line app specifically that are negative stories about the company, I never make into a video. Now, there are a number of reasons why I do this. One is every person's situation is different, and I don't think it's fair to make a video for the community that really tries to overgeneralize an issue that might only be a specific niche issue for a couple of people. But the other thing is, I don't want to just make videos that are perceived as negative. I want to be balanced. As a journalist, I will call out a company for being shady and for putting out trash, and Lord knows I do that. But I also want to be fair, and I want to be balanced in terms of also putting out positive stories. One of the things I want to touch on at the beginning of this video is just how thankful I am that Kabam listened to the feedback. And I don't know if they specifically listened to my feedback or not, if it was just a coincidence, but to add additional milestones to the Tier 1 Alpha and Tier 4 Basic arenas is a fantastic thing for the game and something that I'm very thankful for. Now, ironically, as I'm talking about boycotting, I'm seeing the problems connecting to network. Please check your connection message. So if I get logged out of the network while I'm making this, that will be as fitting as anything. But I did want to touch on a huge reason why so many people are still upset, and I feel like Kabam has just tried to shove this issue under the rug, and I wasn't sure exactly how to address it, but I think this is the video for me to do it, because it may seem like it was kind of thrown under the rug or forgotten by a lot of people, but I want you to know that I have not forgotten about this. So you can see up here in the featured 5-star hero crystal and the featured 6-star hero crystal that we've had the opportunity to purchase those for a few days now. But specifically, this featured 6-star hero crystal was advertised as such at the beginning, but actually did not produce the correct champions when it first hit the marketplace. And it was absolutely infuriating to so many people. And I gotta be honest, this would have happened to me as well, because had I not, now you could say foolishly, and I wouldn't argue with you, spent my 30,000 6-star shards on 2 featured champs to try to get Void or Killmonger and strike out big time about a month ago, I would have, right at noon Central Standard Time, put out a video in which I opened 2 of these, and it would have contained the wrong champions. It was a crystal that was bugged, and simply put, Kabam didn't do their job in updating the crystal. So I have received, I want to say, at least 20 messages from 20 different users telling me that they submitted a ticket to Kabam to get the correct crystal, which on paper certainly should not be a very unreasonable request given it was Kabam's fault. And Kabam has basically said, well, since you got a champion from that crystal, we are not going to replace it and give you the correct one. And for so many people, I mean, 6-star shards are still so hard to get that is something that I had one guy message me and say, look, normally I don't like any videos that are negative toward Kabam because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and this is the first time that I have really lost faith in the company. And I'm just going to leave this screen as is right now because I've been disconnected from the network, and so I feel like this is quite fitting because it leads me, thank you Kabam, to my next point, in that we still have not received any kind of compensation for 8+ hours of the game being down for some people late last week. And while there are a lot of people out there who have commented and said, oh, forget compensation, you should prepare for that, there are so many people who not only lost items and boosts in Alliance War, and of course the rewards for Alliance War if you couldn't finish, but there are a lot of people who also didn't get a chance to finish getting their MODOK because they lost the peak hours on a Friday night that they were going to grind, and they're still very upset about that. And then, most importantly, the Gold Pool Arena, right? The arena that was so rare and only for these select few people who got tickets to that. And there were people who needed that 8 hours to have a chance to get their Gold Pool and will forever not be able to get him. And so we have seen just one message saying that we would have some kind of compensation addressed. And hopefully it's not this monthly calendar. Let's try to reconnect and just see what happens. Hopefully it's not this monthly calendar that we've seen, because it's kind of suspicious where at the end of the first week, the milestone at the end of the week has been changed from what it normally is to 1,000 5-star crystal shards, but there's no 5-star crystal shard milestone in the following weeks, so it's very odd for a calendar to peak at the 7th day when, in theory, the milestones are supposed to get better because it's supposed to entice you to keep logging on every day. So, between the servers going down, and I think it is so appropriate that my game is currently showing me this message right now as I make a video about why it's a problem that the servers are going down. Why, at the beginning, and I know some of you haven't been playing this game for very long, but I've been playing this game for over 2.5 years now, and it was pretty rare when the servers would go down at the beginning when I played this game, and normally it would only be like 10 or 15 minutes, but it was like the same day. Kabam would send a very generous apology, and it would be with some Alliance Quest items or Alliance War items, you know, some potions, some revives, a couple of boosts, and some like 4-star shards. And it was always just so nice, and a couple of times I just kept thinking to myself, man, this company is awesome, because I was away from my phone. I actually wasn't able to log on during the time the game was down. I didn't even know the game was down because it was fixed so fast, and yet they still gave me the compensation. I just thought, man, that's really cool. But as the game has progressed, specifically as Netmarble has purchased the game, I have noticed that the compensation packages have been few and far between, and only really when the community calls out the BS, because that's really what it took in May. They gave us a very generous compensation package, but the game went down like 10 to 15 times. So it's just, it hurts the morale when players know that they can't count on a company to apologize, especially when the company used to apologize. It's like getting into a relationship in the honeymoon stage at first, where everything's great and you're happy and it just feels like you're floating on cloud 9, but then as the months progress, the kindness goes down and the irritability goes up, and suddenly you're not being treated as well and you're not treating that person as well, and so it's a toxic relationship. That's kind of how I feel like the community is toward Kabam right now, and vice versa. They act like it's an inconvenience at times just to answer people's questions, and if someone asks a very valid question in a way that's respectful, they still get banned from the forums, and that also is a really, really terrible message to send. And I'm going to try to refresh this again just to see if we continue to get shut out, because, man, this is very, very ironic. Okay, so another reason why people are boycotting July 6th is simply the #1 issue in the game right now. And I have talked about this in a lot of videos, and I feel like a lot of people share my sentiments, and that is burnout. So the game continues to try to exceed their profits from the past month and to get people to spend more, and that makes sense. And I do want to say, in Kabam's defense, Dorky Diggity Dave made a fantastic point about this in one of his recent live streams, where he talked about this is one of the few high-end mobile games that looks as good as a console and yet doesn't have ads, right? If you think arena grinding sucks now, just imagine if there was an ad before every arena fight. And some games are like that, right? If you're doing the free-to-play version, you're going to get the ads, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so this is a very clean gaming experience, which I'm sure the company probably has been tempted in the past to put ads in it. So I'm very thankful that they have not gone that route, because I think that would really take away some of what makes this game so enjoyable. But besides that, the game should be progressing with the 6-star world that we live in, and we see a majority of 4-star offers more than anything, and then you're seeing content like the micro realms that make zero sense. You're giving us a Rift event that no one really loved a few months ago, and that was when you had a 1% drop rate to get a 5-star Awakening gem and a fully formed Tier 2 Alpha. And now the Micro Realm basically should stand for Micro Expectations and Micro Rewards, because we were getting such a smaller amount of rewards and only 5 different opportunities to compete in that most tough rift. So it's really just a case where Kabam is making the game harder, but making the communication worse, trying to change things too fast, and then also not giving the average player an incentive to have fun with monthly events. Even something like dungeons, which I didn't do very often, I very much saw the appeal, and I thought it was really cool that you had these specific 5-star crystals that you could get for grinding. Like, it was really just a reward for the people that would do dungeons. And I was thankful I didn't get an opportunity to get that, because you know what? I didn't deserve it. I didn't do dungeons except for Dungeon Day and a couple other times. So those have seemingly gone away. And I also want to remind people, last June, in June of 2017, we had Summoner Appreciation Month. And I really feel like last summer might have been the golden age of this game, because we had so many amazing offers, especially the July 4th offer of 2017. We had Summoner Appreciation Month. We had 5-star shards falling from the sky in events, where suddenly it went from having to take like 2 months to save up enough shards to get one 10k basic to where you could get that in like 2 weeks. And then new God tier attacker champs were coming out of the woodwork. Last summer, remember, was the Spider-Man Homecoming debut, and we got to see Stark Spidey, which then we also saw really solid champs that still have some value, like Doc Ock and Green Goblin, which led to Blade, which led to also getting more opportunities for those 15k featured, like Iceman and Archangel, and then eventually Medusa. And now the game feels like it's just kind of made for the top spenders, and then the average player is just going to get burnt out, and even the top spender eventually will get burnt out by how difficult Alliance War is about to be, and I'm very curious to see the feedback on that. So I, for one, am supporting the July 6th boycott, because Kabam is still not really treating its customer base with the respect and communication, and also they continue to put out worse events and rewards while making the content harder, and thus getting more people irritable and frustrated and unable to play a game that they once loved so much. So it is a July 6th boycott, and that is really, I made a list in front of me of the main reasons why so many people were mad and they wanted me to address it. So I know that I could go on and on, but hopefully I've addressed some of the main points. I hope they take this seriously, because I do think that the community wants change, because they still love this game. Because if the average person didn't love it, you just delete it off your app, right? But I, for one, I want to play this game for another 2.5 years. You know, I want this thing to be around for a while, and so this is a really important crossroads for the company. I hope they take this moment seriously, and I also hope that they start giving back to the community tomorrow on July 4th, where there will be some very generous offers like last year to get people willing to say, hey, I'll give my units for this, or in some cases, I'll give my cash for this, because I know the value of this is good, and I'm going to be able to clear more content and have more fun in the game. Because if we don't see great offers tomorrow, that is just another sign that Kabam doesn't care, that they have flipped the switch in this relationship, and in 1 year, they've gone from being loving and generous to irritable and, well, quite frankly, pretty rude. And that's not something that anybody wants to play, or a company that anyone wants to support. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you will join the rest of the top tier alliances and YouTubers and everybody in between on July 6th and really take a stand to let Kabam know that they need to improve a lot of the areas. And I really, for the people, this does not affect me, but for the people who got those 6-star featured crystals that were completely incorrect, Kabam, you should start with them. You need to give them a real crystal that has the correct champs, and give them an opportunity to, if they want, exchange it, because that is such an easy thing for you to do. It's a fix you've given in some cases in the past, and that would go a long way to helping gain back the trust of those players that you have so rudely interacted with in the past month.